Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad we didn't do this outside. We are very close to the subject of today's announcement, but we're much more comfortable than we would be if we were right next to it. So we welcome Lieutenant Governor Karyn Polito here, a great friend of the city and of Greater New Bedford, for a significant economic development announcement today, and I'm going to call her up in a moment to say a few words, but I just wanted to offer a couple of words of context for the announcement, and I'll repeat some of the stuff that we were talking about a moment ago. The Lieutenant Governor asked me about my inaugural the other night, and so I gave her the Cliff Notes version, but if for those of you, and many of you were there the other night, one of the things that, I've tried to emphasize over the years is, that our strategy has to match up with sort of the way of the world these days. And one of the things when in a city that has been striving to regenerate its economy over the years is that, a whole lot of capital and talent is flowing these days in America and to a lot of other cities around the Western world to the superstar cities. And there are lots of reasons for that, having to do with changes in global supply chains and technology and a number of other reasons. But you don't have to, actually have to set foot in any of these cities to know. You can see them from afar that just what's going on. The cities, the likes of Boston's the closest example, New York, Seattle for sure, Austin, a number of others. These places are characterized by, force of construction cranes and, $50 a plate entrees in their restaurants, and they're just doing very, very well. And so for the rest of America, we have to have a good sense of how to make our way in the world, right? We have to compete economically, for sure, and that means doing very well the things that we're already good at and getting good at other things. But here in New Bedford, we've put special emphasis on the development of the Port of New Bedford, because what we do there is the best in America, and we want to get better still, and there are real competitive advantages there, and that's why we double down on it so much. The cultural scene in the downtown especially, as well as in other parts of the city, is another area of emphasis. So, and thanks to the support that you guys have given us in the Baker Polito administration, we've been able to accelerate the work on the port and on our cultural assets around the city. But another big part of our strategy is elevating the city's quality of life, making New Bedford a really nice place to live in. Is important as an end in itself, but it's also a means to attracting people and investment here. And so we really work hard on that, and that means having a great downtown, having great connections to the water, having obviously in great neighborhoods, having a safe city in every corner, having great schools, having all the things that people like in an urban setting. Because ultimately, even though the world is sort of gravitating to the major metros, we can be a very appealing alternative, one that offers all the urbanity that people are looking for in major metros, but at the same time, we don't have all the negative externalities, the high crime levels, the traffic, and the high cost of living, all that stuff. That's our strategy. And in that way, what the Lieutenant Governor is about to announce fits very neatly into our plans. That is to say, we want our downtown to be seen, recognized, not just as the cultural center and economic center of southeastern Massachusetts, but a place that people just really want to be in, and that investors really want to invest in, because that momentum will beget more momentum, will beget more investment, and the way we do that is by making sure we plan well and invest well, and investing entails a very close working relationship with the state. The city can't do it alone. The state has to be there in our efforts to create a great quality of life here and to attract investment, and that's what today's announcement is about. So with that big lead up. I wanted to call up Lieutenant Governor Karyn Polito, who's been such a great friend to the city, someone who has really followed through in support of our strategy, but someone who's just just so responsive and this really done the hard work of learning up the things that that we need here. So without any further ado.
Great, thank you. So, good afternoon. It's great to be here with all of you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for welcoming everyone to your historic downtown area and to the area where these grant funds will be directly devoted to continue to build on the progress you are seeing here in this neighborhood. But let me first start by saying thank you to the mayor, to your staff. I don't know if Derek is here now. Thank you for your leadership at City Hall. You talked about that being the major asset that any community has is a leadership team, like literally a team of people who are thinking about the community and preparing the plans and the vision and really put their shoulder behind that plan and that vision to really make it become reality. So thank you and your counterparts at City Hall for all the work that you do every day for this city, for this community. My colleagues in the legislature, you can see that the House is not in session today because you're all here. I want to say thank you to Chris Markey, Representative Markey, Representative Strauss, Representative Cabral, Representative Schmidt, and Representative Hendricks for being here. And the Senate is in session and they're doing some work up there. But I'm really happy that you're all here so that we can all say thank you to this delegation for your advocacy, for your leadership, for your voice, not only on Beacon Hill for matters that affect the Commonwealth, but for your voice for this community. You are effective, you're resourceful, and you're not shy when it comes to matters pertaining to your district. You let the governor and I and our team know, and we're really happy to be able to partner with you to see things happen here. So it's an exciting time for you. You have a lot of momentum. And that momentum comes from that leadership, the vision, and then the working together. And I clearly want to see the momentum continue here in New Bedford. I do want to talk a little about what the mayor was saying about what makes a strong community, right? Clearly you want jobs and opportunities for people to work at, to earn a good living and have economic stability. You want a community that offers great schools. So your neighborhoods are important. The schools that families and people go to, really important. And then you want that feeling in a place that it's safe for business investment, for people to walk around in an area like this, that it's a safe and healthy and vibrant community, that there's things happening in this place. And clearly, you have a special advantage in New Bedford, being a coastal community. There are 78 coastal communities out of 351 in the Commonwealth, but you were the only one, right, with this deep water port that is so amazing and an asset that is yours. And you also have a rich history of being a whaling city. Your history, all that came before this point in time, is your story. And it's unique to you, but that's part of your brand, it's part of your identity. And you're telling this story more effectively now. And because you're telling it, there are more people interested in what's happening here in New Bedford. And they're looking around and seeing things happen. So they want to be in on this momentum. They want to be investing here. They want to be here because things are happening. So that's part of your story, part of your momentum, and clearly is a big part of your future. And one of the things that we like to do in our executive office is just to be here to support you and to be a reliable partner. And part of that comes from the governor and me being local officials when we first started out in our public service, select woman in my hometown in Charlie and Swampscott. And that experience really helped inform us around how we wanted to build out that partnership between state and local government. And while it's important that we're here and working together. We need to provide you the resources, right, to do more of what you need to do, because no community can foot this bill alone, and you're looking to take these resources and leverage them so you can attract more investment. The private sector investment is really key to unlocking your full potential. So today, we are highlighting an important program, and it's a real credit to the legislature for recognizing the value of what's called the MassWorks program. It's our best, biggest, most impactful infrastructure program that we offer. And because of our work with the legislature, we've been able to reprogram this MassWorks program with more resources. Now, the resources that come from the MassWorks program are not given to everybody, right? You have to compete for these funds. And since we've taken office, we've been able to grant over $450 million to 219 shovel-ready projects, leveraging about $9.2 billion in private investment and 14,000 new units of housing, for an example. This year, we had over 90 applications, and we couldn't grant all of those, but we were able to grant $72 million of grants to 36 projects. And how do we discern one application to the next, one project to the other, and what bubbles to the top? Well, clearly, back to that leadership, knowing that when we invest in a project that there's an ability to get it done. So it has to be able to be completed in the year that we are investing in the project. And it has to be shovel-ready, it has to be ready to go. And clearly this project is, as an extension to the first phase that we funded in 2016 with $2.5 million. You can see how impactful the improvements to Union Street have been all the way in this direction, opening up access to the waterfront with great sidewalks and signage, and it looks great. It's walkable, it's accessible, it's really attractive. And now to extend this in phase 2 with today's announcement of another $3 million for the Union Street improvements. Now, we want it to look nice and be accessible and walkable, but we also want to make sure that it has the biggest impact. So why is this impactful? Well, we're standing in one of the places that has had a big impact in this area. To have a brand new hotel with places for people to stay, whether you're doing business here or visiting, you have an attractive facility here. And then to unlock more potential here with more housing, and more economic opportunity here. All that adds up to more housing, which we certainly need, more tax revenue for the city, which you can drive right back into that quality of life, those good schools, and all of the things that people are excited about around here. So congratulations on this continued investment in this quarter. Now, a couple of other things I just want to reference, Mary Ellen here, from Mass Development and the TDI team. We're literally in what's known as a transformative development district. And we have these resources available through Mass Development to work with mostly gateway cities and to work with mayors and staff like yours to reimagine and transform particular areas within a community. So working with the city, we were able to define an area in this downtown area and say, okay, what do you want to focus on? And in this area, you said we want to focus on the historic aspects of it. We want more culture here. We want more arts. We want more restaurants and places for people to visit and have a good time. And so now you've seen a lot of that happen, which is truly exceptional. And Mary Ellen and your whole team, thank you very much. I just want to also say I have the honor of serving as the chair of the Seaport Economic Council, which is also a resource that you've taken advantage of here to help improve the waterfront. So we're improving this neighborhood here, but the connection to the waterfront is really big part of what we're doing here. And to see these improvements along the waterfront are also critical, whether it's on the pier, bringing refrigeration to the pier so that you can have more jobs and opportunities there, or thanks to your advocacy. And I want to say the people in this room, this leadership team right here was instrumental in outlining for our administration the importance of dredging. To have an asset like this, unless you dredge it and open it up for more commerce, it won't fully be utilized as an asset. And every single one of you in the delegation and the mayor were right up front in stressing to us the importance of having a dredging program. We were pleased last year to announce $24 million of dredging for this harbor, which will clearly open up more opportunities for you. So just thank you for your advocacy there. You clearly accomplished a lot in that effort. And finally, I just want to close with thanking you for working with us so that we know what programs are most effective, what's working, and what we should continue to add resource to. The Economic Development Bill is part of that process. Working with all of you, we were able to present our Economic Development Plan for the next few years to the legislature. We filed that in December with you as part of a requirement. You want to know what every administration is going to work on for economic development. And now we're in the process of finalizing the bill, which will be before your committee and before the legislature in February. And in the Economic Development Bill, you'll see us continue to fund or ask for funds for the MassWorks program. Collaborative workspaces in downtown development, more efforts around housing, clearly a key piece to making sure that people have affordable, accessible places to live, and market rate housing in downtowns like this, where you want to see young professionals and business people and people that want to be part of this downtown experience have access to good units of housing. You'll see us do more around business competitiveness and more around community development that we are obviously outlining today. So the bill is going to be presented. We look forward to working with you, and I'm sure you'll put your final touches on it, as you always do, to make it a really good outcome and contain the resources that are needed to help a community like this continue to grow, to continue to prosper, and to be continue to be a great place for people to live. So thank you for your leadership. Congratulations to all of you. And to make it real, we give you one of these nifty presentations outlining the $3 million grant to you today. So
Thank you very much. All right. Once again, I just want to say how how grateful we are for the support. I mean, you've once again you've made it known here in Greater New Bedford just how much you get it, and you get what we're trying to do, and just how responsive you are and how supportive you are of our efforts. It is as I said, we're making real progress here. We've got to hustle more than most places, but the hustling is paying off. I want to thank the state delegation, Representatives Markey, Strauss, Cabral, Schmidt, and Hendricks for your support, your letters of support for the grant. It's good to signal to the administration that everybody sees it the same way, that this is a really important investment. The City Council, Scott Lima, is here from Ward 5, another real big supporter of what we're trying to do. I do, and there are a few other words of thanks, but I did want to just offer, a word about the work that this will fund, which, really is in the interest of completeness. Union Street really is the main street of the downtown, right? It bisects the downtown east to west, or splits it in half, roughly from north to south, and bisects the State Pier on the waterfront. And then merges into the west end and cuts across County Street. And what we're trying to do is, in a number of respects, we're trying to integrate all of it. We're trying to integrate the waterfront with the downtown, and therefore the work down there over the last several years, which includes a lot of the sidewalk work, the natural materials, the cobblestoning that was built in a few years ago, the work along Route 18, now referred to as JFK Boulevard, so it sounds less like a highway. Yeah, all the way up here with the last MassWorks grant, which helped support this investment and a number of others, this investment, this hotel, as well as a number of others up Union Street. And then now with this grant, continuing from 6th Street, which is 1 block away, all the way up to just beyond County Street, right? So the big east, for those of you who are not from New Bedford, one of our main north-south arteries, which itself is going to get a big facelift in the next couple of years with city work going north on County Street from Union, and then a TIP project, Transportation Improvement Plan program project, going from the south end all the way up to Union. So we're tying, it's a long way of saying, for those of you who are familiar with all this, you can easily picture it, but in short, we're tying all this stuff together, and that will make the downtown an even stronger focal point of the city, which is what successful cities do. So there are lots of people to thank. We submitted a very competitive application, and the work of Derek Santos and Tabitha Harkin and Christina Connolly were instrumental in making that happen. Jamie Pond and his team at DPI for sure were in it in a big way, and they're going to be making it happen when the money comes in. There will be a significant amount of underground infrastructure work that will be coupled with it as well, just as there was in the first phase of the MassWorks project last year. So it's, there's a lot of work getting done, some visible and some not, but all still very important. And I want to thank our economic development team, obviously Tony Sapienza, the chair of the EDC and the Regeneration Committee, for all of their support in these kinds of investments and for the overall strategy. So, and again, I want to thank our state delegation for their support of the MassWorks program in general, which is a really effective program, a merit-based program to leverage more investment and for this particular project. And with that, I want to call up the man who represents this district right here, right in the heart of New Bedford, my friend and next door neighbor, Tony Cabral.
Yeah, maybe we ought to fix Moreland Terrace too, and I'm gonna get it's sideways. Anyway, well, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Let me thank the Lieutenant Governor for being here with us with great news again. When she comes to town, she always brings good news, and this is certainly big news to my colleagues in the legislature for all that hard work as well. Not one person can do it alone, as the mayor said, and as the Lieutenant Governor said. This is really teamwork, and welcome to my district, obviously. And Paul always says that everything that happens in my district. No, I'm going to get you.
Well, I say that when I'm with you.
But no, this is a great investment, and this is a great program, MassWorks. We've done a lot of work there around funding MassWorks to the tune of $500 million the last time we did it. And we certainly hope that the governor's coming back asking for another $500 million, because we think MassWorks is really it was merged. We had like I don't know, 20, 30 programs to help citizen towns, and it was merged into one big program that really makes sense, that they can stay focused on what the mission is. And New Bedford has been a great competitor. It's been competing for these grants and for this money right along, and there's one almost in every round. There's one has won an award, and that's also goes to the local team from the mayor's office, to economic development, DPI, and everybody else who is involved, staying focused. I think that's important. So we can get our share of the pie, so we can continue the kind of development that we're doing here. And Union Street, obviously, is sort of that key place that brings everything together. And hopefully this will then, as the mayor already outlined, will be additional investments from other programs to really begin to tackle other neighborhoods in other areas of the city. And we like downtown to overflow, sort of the success of downtown to overflow back to our neighborhoods. No great city is great without great neighborhoods as well. Downtown is important, but I think neighborhoods are important. And when that economic development bill reaches our committees, it will come through my committee at some point as well, we have additional ideas to help neighborhoods around specific neighborhoods that the community can identify to apply additional investment, not only to downtown, but also to other neighborhoods in the city. So we're looking forward for that piece of legislation to actually arrive, so we can begin to do some more work for the next couple of years for investing in our community. So thank you very much again for that big check. We're looking for more. We'll be knocking on your door for more, and thank you for all the good work that everybody's been doing to get this done. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Tony, for your support. And again, I want to thank, Chris Markey and Bill Strauss and Paul Schmidt, Chris Hendricks for all of their work. You guys are welcome to come on up. Tony just said it. If you want to add, Paul, you're never short with words, so. No, even you're taking a pass? All right. Fair enough. All right, well, anyway, if anybody has any questions, Kieran, Mary, anybody? If not, we can take them all, we can take our press questions offline. But anyway, more than anything, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for the team for submitting such a competitive application, and we've got some work to do. Thanks, everybody.
All the